Yes, and we do have Hotel de Barton coming soon, which is Adelaide's only soapie, which will be interesting to watch. Welcome back to Full On Football with our dynamic duo, Dwayne Gray from Modbury Jets and Aaron Westenfeld from Raiders.
I'm Batman.
You're Batman, are you?
He's the other one.
Oh,
You're smaller,
okay.
mate.
That girl.
You're
Yes,
smaller.
that girl. It has been brought to my attention, and I do apologise. I did make an incorrect announcement with the scores. Croydon did score a goal, and that was care of my ex-host Brooksy, so it was 4-1, so I do apologise Brooksy, and I do apologise to all the Croydon Kings supporters, so it was 4-1.
So did Croydon get close to winning, or?
Well, look,
No,
we
I'm
don't
just
bag
asking,
people
was it
here,
close?
we promote people
okay.
here, come on, cheeky
That might have been one up.
I'm not bagging him, I'm just asking
Characters
if
of
that,
football.
if that would have made him closer to winning.
Oh, you're a cheeky, I'll tell you what.
3 goals closer.
Okay, time. Look, guys, it's Premier League time, and this is obviously the segment where we look at the Premier League and what's happened. And Dwayne, there's been some very interesting games of late in the Premier League, and traditionally it's a very, very tight league, this league.
Absolutely, it is, yes. And there has been some surprising results. And again, going back to the beginning of the year when you sort of ticked your teams that you thought would do pretty well, there's a couple that just haven't performed. And one that sticks out like a sore thumb for me when you look at the league table is Enfield City. And they have struggled and see themselves at the foot of the table at the moment. And another loss on the weekend to Adelaide Olympic obviously wouldn't sit too well there with Peter Cristorella.
I actually went to that game, and they actually played good football. They did play good football. They were unlucky not to come away with a draw in that match. And just out of interest, top 8 teams, only 10 points separating the top 8 teams, so it is very, very tight. Let's have a look at the results for round 8 for the Premier League, and let's just mull over what did happen. Adelaide Hills very, very strong, obviously sitting at the top of the table. 4-0 win over Noarlunga. Noarlunga having not so good results lately. Elliott, Kelly, Pace and Coombs scoring for Adelaide Hills. Adelaide Cobras and Pirates drawing 2-2, so I guess Pirates probably would have been wanting a win, but Cobras happy to come away with a draw. Mushi and Ikalaro scoring for Cobras, and Totoli and Scotty Unglab again for Pirates, so it's great to see him consistent. Panthers 1, Western Strikers 3, with Wilkinson scoring for Panthers, and Aylor Bulabek a hat-trick. Now, last time I heard he was with Blue Eagles, did something to his knee, not playing, and now he's down at Western Strikers, so obviously the green and the gold, he's loving those colours, isn't he?
It was a surprise to me because when I read that name in the paper I didn't know he'd moved at all. So I just thought he was still at Blue Eagles. So to see him on the score sheet there for Western Strikers, obviously a great pick-up for Western Strikers in the Premier League, but a loss I would have thought for Blue Eagles. Obviously saw something in him last year when he played for Cumberland.
Definitely, he is a class player. Going back to the results, Enfield City 2, Adelaide Olympic 3, Wilkinson scoring a brace there, and Kostopoulos, Kezios and Guillermo a loss for Adelaide Olympic, and that was a very entertaining game, and as I said, Enfield were unlucky not to come away with a draw there. Adelaide Comets 3, Cumberland 1. Cumberland were leading 1-0, but obviously Mohamed Kone, that great pick-up that Comets have had, scoring a brace, and Demopoulos scoring the 3rd goal there for Comets. And I have to say here, we were talking about Aylor Bulabek. I think we've got a photograph of him in action from that game, from the Panthers game. Unbelievable, such a strong guy. This guy is such a flamboyant player. Brilliant. When he gets on the ball, he can do wonders, absolute wonders. So it is a great pick-up there for Charlie Villani, and how he got him, I've got no idea.
Yeah, well, we were pretty impressed with him last year at Cumberland as well, and would have liked to have had a chat with him, but Blue Eagles was straight in his ear, and he'd already signed for them by the time we got around to it. So yeah, like we said, he's a good pick-up for Western Strikers in that league, and obviously banging 3 goals in this week. That won't be his last goals, I wouldn't think.
All these African players seem to be good on the ball. You know, we've got Aaron Tay at Raiders who's on the ball. He's got some of the best skills I've ever seen. Must just be something they're born with, I think.
Well, I have to say, going back about 4 weeks ago, we spoke to a young guy called Milian Butsire from the Joeys, another very, very clever and talented young footballer. And they do. I mean, there's a lot of youngsters in the junior ranks that are coming up now. These guys are brilliant. The way that they can outsmart other players and the skills that they've got on the ball, brilliant. They've just got to get a bit more savvy with the way our football's being played. But look, these guys are top class, and I think we're going to see a lot more of them coming into the top leagues as the years go by, because they're talents that you don't want to waste them.
I think a lot goes back to what we were talking about before with Rocky's dad Joe, that nowadays kids in the Western culture, or particularly in Australia, have a lot of things to put their time to, with the computers and video games and things like that, where I guess these guys that have just come over from Africa, in their country they probably wouldn't have those luxuries. So they're probably out like we were when we were kids, just straight after school going over to the Oval and having a kick around, and you've always got a ball at your feet. And obviously that benefits you in future times, like we were speaking about before, with your first touch and just skills on the ball. And obviously, like Aaron touched on there, these guys come over, they've already got them skills and got a good first touch. It's just the finer points and the technical side and the tactical side of the game that they need to be taught.
Well, Dwayne, I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. You're absolutely spot on that, because that's exactly what Million was saying, that they just played as street football together, and when they come over here and able to get an opportunity like this, they grab it with both hands and they just race with it. So fantastic to see these guys. Let's have a look at the table after round 8 for the Premier League, and some interesting movement here. As I said, top 8 teams are within 10 points of each other. Adelaide Hills out on 18 points. Comets doing very, very well as the promoted team in the Premier League on 16 points. Adelaide Olympic still holding their own on 14. Pirates making their move up. They're on 12 points now. Strikers and Cobras sitting in the middle there on 11. Cumberland on 9. I guess a little bit disappointing. They would probably wanting to be doing a bit better to be able to bounce straight back up into the Super League. Hopefully we'll be able to get Nick on, the coach of Cumberland, Pansaris, to speak to us in a couple of weeks' time to see what's happening there. Noarlunga on 8 points. South Adelaide Panthers on 7, and Enfield, as you touched on, Dwayne, on 5 points, only with the 1 win, and I guess somewhat disappointing for those guys, because everyone was predicting they were going to be one of the sides to go up, with the 2 going up this year.
Especially with the side they've got. It's not like they've got a bad side. Sakinis is still there. Peter Wayne, he's been around a bit. He can still play. And, Brett Selger, who back when they were in the Premier League, when it was called the Premier League, in the top league there, he was a good player. He worked hard and he was good on the ball, and they could play. So I'm sure Pete would be disappointed where they are, and probably pulling at straws to see what they're going to do to try and get out of where they are. But I'm sure that experience will come through, and they'll get out of the trouble.
Well, let's have a look at the fixtures for round 9 for the Premier League, and we've got Cumberland are taking on South Adelaide Panthers at Bailey Reserve. These are all 3 p.m. games. Pirates are up against Enfield City at home. Noarlunga are at home to Adelaide Comets. Western Strikers are up against Adelaide Cobras. That'll be a great match there, middle of the table teams. And Adelaide Olympic, this is a reversed fixture. So Adelaide Olympic are taking on Adelaide Hills at the Hawks Nest. So that's a reverse fixture there for anyone wanting to know. And I do say, check the FFSA website for any rescheduled games, because some of them do get rescheduled, midweek or new times or things like that. So you've got to keep a check on them. Guys, that's it for the Premier League. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and when we come back we'll have more of Full On Football.
Here we go.